With the World Cup getting closer and closer, I thought it'd be fun to look at how Germany might line up in Qatar. Let's get right into it. Welcome to Talking Bayern, the one-stop shop for Bayern Munich content on YouTube. Today we'll be discussing how Germany could line up at Qatar 2022, the World Cup. I am so excited for it in November. I think Germany has a strong chance of winning. I think we have a long ways to come from our last performance, and I think the switch of managers was so good for us. I think Hansi Flick's going to be much better at the helm. I think he's the right man to lead Germany to another World Cup win. It's been a while since Germany's got some trophyware, at least relevant ones. So obviously our last one was 2014. I did think we were going to win, one of those years in the meantime. Obviously we crashed out really poorly at the 2018 World Cup, but I think if we get a World Cup here, all is great again. But I think the lineup is going to be a bit different than what we saw at the Euros. I think there's been some emerging players. Some people have dropped off a little bit. So I'm going to go through these three lineups. So it's not going to be really how these players work together and suit each other. This is kind of just a depth chart of how we can line up every single one. I'm going to use the 4-3-3 formation. So don't really mind too much with where they are. Some players, for example, are a striker, but I put them on left wing. Just use for the depth chart. So don't read too much into the positions. Obviously, they're as accurate as I could make it. But obviously, I didn't want to make 5 lineups just that one player could, stay at striker the whole way through. So going into lineup 1, obviously in goal, it's going to be Manuel Neuer. Everyone knew that was going to be the guy to lead us. At the back, this was a bit difficult because, left back position was pretty tough for me. There's a few different names, some emerging names, but I had to give it to Christian Gunter. I think he's been really, really solid for Freiburg. So I had to go with Gunter. And to round out the defense, Rudiger, Sewell, and Kehrer I think are the pretty clear options. I know Rudiger and Sewell are absolute locks. I think Kehrer could, maybe be replaced, but I'm pretty sure, this is pretty solid. The left back position, as I said, could be different. I'm not sure if we're 1 or 4 back, but these are, I think, our top 4 defenders at the moment. In the midfield, it has to be Goretzka, Muller, Kimmich. I don't think anyone's going to argue that. Hansi Flick obviously loves these 3 players. That was his midfield at Bayern Munich. I don't see this changing at all unless one of these players gets injured. But that's just my opinion. And up top, this could have a little bit of room for argument, but I still think it's pretty solid. I think Sané is an absolute lock up there. I'm pretty sure Havertz will be an absolute lock as well. Gnabry maybe could be traded for, somebody else, but I think this is going to be how I think our top 11 looks like for Qatar. Overall, I think this is a really, really solid lineup. I think this is, one of the best, starting squads at the World Cup. Definitely competes with, Brazil, France, and some other countries. Maybe they tweak us out a little bit. But with Hansi Flick, I think, this could be a World Cup winning team. Going into lineup 2, this obviously is going to look very different at the back. Ter Stegen in goal, I think is a very clear second option. I don't think that's going to change no matter what happens in the next coming months. Even if he has the worst form of his life, I think he's still going to be the second goalkeeper here. In defense, I'm going to go with Robin Gosens, Hummels, Ginter, and Baku. I'm going to go with Gosens. I really want to have David Raum here over Gosens, but my head is telling me to pick Gosens. My heart really wants Raum in there. I think he's been, great for Hoffenheim this season. It might just be, too late for Raum to get that position at the World Cup with Germany. I think if he keeps it up, though, I don't see how we avoid bringing him. I think he brings a great defense, and obviously great offensive option as a wing back. So I think maybe if you run a 5-back, I think Gosens or Raum's, chance of going increases heavily. But yeah, if we're running a 4-back, maybe I see Gunter over those 2. Hummels and Ginter, I think are, 2 veterans for Germany. I think are both really solid options. I don't think they're starters, but I do think they're very solid. I don't see us, skipping out on them at the World Cup. In the midfield, this is another pretty easy 2 players. I think Gundogan and Royce are absolute locks to come to the World Cup with us. And I could see Musiala being played here. I do think he's going to come with us. I know it depends whether Hansi Flick wants to use him as a midfielder or a winger. I know he has said recently that he prefers him as an attacker still. So I put him at center mid because he can play there, and I do think he deserves to be in our second lineup. But it could change if he has a great few months. Maybe he somehow squeaks into that first squad over a player like Gnabry, but I don't really see that happening. I think he's a great second lineup option. And I think he's going to get some minutes for Germany at the World Cup. And then our attackers, Adeyemi, obviously he's more of a striker, but I did put him at the left wing here just so I could fit in Werner, but obviously Werner could be playing on the wing as well. And then Hoffman was another great choice I went with at the right wing position. He's been great for Gladbach these past couple of years, so I really do think that he will be called up to the World Cup squad as well, although there are some players on this list that might not be taken. And then going to the third lineup, obviously this is probably the most up for debate. One, because obviously there's the quality drops off a bit, and it kind of shows some lack of depth in the German squad In goal, I had to pick Trapp. He has the edge over Leno. I mean, Leno's been the preferred third guy for quite some time, but I think Trapp's always been there with him. Leno, obviously playing for Arsenal, was kind of in a better position, but I think he's not playing anymore. Trapp has the edge now, so I do think we will see Trapp as the third goalie, the third and last goalie to come with Germany at the World Cup. As for our defense, I'm going to pick David Raum here if Gosens obviously makes it over him. And then also in the center back, Schlotterbeck, Todd, and then our right back, Klosterman. I think Schlotterbeck could definitely emerge as a second lineup player, or maybe even like a fringe first, maybe as like a third option center back at the World Cup for us, depending on how we want to play formation wise. But I really hope Schlotterbeck makes a trip to Qatar. I think he's really solid and would make a great asset to the team. Todd and Klosterman, I wouldn't be too hurt if we don't bring them. I don't think they bring that much to the table that we don't already have. I think maybe Klosterman a bit better than Ta. Just, kind of he can play right back. But, it depends. And then the midfield, it really shows the lack of depth. Our third set of midfielders, Emre Can, Julian Brandt, and Florian Neuhaus. I do think that Julian Brandt is having a solid season for Dortmund. I think he's the best of these three. I only really see, maybe one of these players getting the call-up, probably Brandt or Can. I think Can has a good versatility. He can play center back or center mid. So I think probably out of these, it would be Brandt or Can that we would be bringing. And then for the attackers, I know that these are all three strikers, but I just threw them up top. Doesn't really matter the position-wise here, but it's Kevin Volland, Jonathan Burkhardt, and Lucas Nemecha. I think that maybe one of these strikers gets the call-up. I'd probably give the preference to Volland or Nemecha. Obviously, Volland has a bit more prestige with his name. Been in the game for a bit longer. He's been called up for Germany in the past. And then Nemecha, obviously one of the best players for Wolfsburg this season. That doesn't say a whole lot because they've been brutal this season. But still, I think Nemecha's solid, and I know Thomas Muller's had a lot of great things to say about him. So maybe he's one of the more complete strikers we have for Germany. But I really don't see any of these guys getting the play time, even if we did bring them. So I think we do have some decent attacking options. I don't see these three really getting any time if they do come on the trip. And then in general, just a review, these are my players I can see making the World Cup for Germany. I would be shocked if there are any players that I didn't mention that get even just a minute of playing time for Germany and Qatar. Obviously, that could change in the next few months. Maybe somebody comes out of nowhere. But there's other names like Koch, Halstenberg, Arnold, Dahoud, Draxler, Stindl, Gisselman, Henriks. Those are all players that maybe squeak into the World Cup lineup, but I don't really think they'll get any playing time, or at least any notable playing time. And then interestingly enough, Flick called up Anton Stach and Julian Weigl to the national team, which were obviously huge surprises, especially Stach. I really did not see coming. So maybe they'll be called to the World Cup. I don't think so, but that would be really surprising in my mind. That would be kind of out of nowhere. I don't know the purpose of it bringing this up. I feel like there's other players that he could have brought that are better than those two players. Maybe he's just looking for different options, different kind of players that we can bring, or maybe he just wants to rest some guys. I'm not sure, but definitely those were two big surprises I saw on our most recent call-up. I know they're just friendly, so they don't really mean anything. That's probably just why. In review, I think this is a team that can win a World Cup. I really hope we do. Obviously, I'm disappointed with kind of our success. 2018 World Cup and then the 2020 Euros, which we fall flat. I knew if we beat England in that game, then maybe we go to the finals, since they kind of had an easy road to the final after that. But we lost to England, and that ended our trip early. But I have huge hopes for this team. If not, a winning World Cup for us, I think this would be a big stepping stone, and hopefully get us that Euro 2024 in Germany. So at least this needs to be a big stepping stone for us. This needs to be a bounce back World Cup due to the failures we've had in the last few tournaments. So I'm really hoping for big things from Germany in 2022 in Qatar. If you did enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like and a comment. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, please subscribe to this channel. Hope to see you all in the next one. Until then, Mia Samia.